2021 is out the door, and we open 2022 with the debut episode of the JC24 Sports Note on YouTube. I am your host, Jim Crenity. Thank you for joining me. Happy New Year, everybody. We're going to jump right into it. Earlier today, it was reported originally by The Athletic and then later followed up on with ESPN and CBS Sports that the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA have a new coach, and it is 44-year-old chief assistant to Greg Popovich in San Antonio. Yes, it is Becky Hammon. Hammon is actually now going to be the highest paid coach in the history of the WNBA when this contract takes effect. The exact financial terms of the contract I don't recall seeing at the time that this is being recorded. Hammond has been a six-time WNBA All-Star during her career. She was a two-time WNBA All-First Team player. She is in the New York Liberty's Ring of Honor, and her number 25 was retired by the San Antonio Silver Stars, where she actually finished out the rest of her career. The Silver Stars moved to Las Vegas after the 2018 season. Hammond is actually, she was a finalist for the Portland Trail Blazers job earlier this year after Terry Stotts and the Blazers parted ways after 9 seasons, the last 5 of which the Blazers were in the playoffs, and also the Blazers were in the Western Conference Finals in 2019, which was the last year before the pandemic where we went into the bubble. Hammond, with taking this position, this is very, very good for her. However, it is very long overdue, and the problem is that she should have been a head coach, whether it be the WNBA or actually the NBA, about 3 years ago. Greg Popovich is 72 years old. His contract expires at the end of next season. He has won 3 titles. However, when you win 3 titles, you can coach until you're 90, and the organization's not going to care, even if your franchise is in rebuilding mode after your big 3 of Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan have long since retired. Popovich also needs only 12 wins to pass Don Nelson for number 1 on the NBA's all-time head coaching wins list. He is also only 8 behind Lenny Wilkens, and he's done it in nearly 400 fewer games. The Spurs and the Blazers are both 13 and 19 going into tonight's action. The difference is the Spurs are rebuilding. The Trail Blazers have been heavily linked to start dumping salary everywhere, whether that's CJ McCollum, and then also talk swirling about Damian Lillard being moved elsewhere, possibly ending up with the Lakers. He's been linked to Philadelphia with Ben Simmons, potentially. But this is actually something that is very, very long overdue for Becky Hammon, very, very well deserved. The only problem is again, it should have happened several years ago, and she should have been the heir apparent for when Popovich took over. Remember, 1 year ago yesterday, December 30th, 2020, Hammond became the first woman in NBA history to be the head coach behind the bench in a regular season game, because Popovich got tossed out in the second quarter of a game against the Spurs. He could have gone to any of the 4 or 5 other assistants. Instead, he pointed directly at Hammond and said, "It's yours." Not exactly sure if that's exactly what he said, but you get the idea. But again, that's a very, very complimentary to Becky Hammon. Very, very long overdue, and I hope I hope the Spurs can actually kind of right the ship a little bit, have a halfway decent year to finish out the rest of this season, and she can translate that right into her first head coaching gig. And I'm actually glad that it's happening now, as opposed to her having to go overseas to get this kind of job. But again, that was the debut episode of the Sports Note. Leave a comment down below. I will be glad to go ahead and interact with you wherever possible. Look for the next episode of the Wise Guys Sports Show with myself and my partner Mike Martinez, coming to podcast platforms sometime this weekend. It'll also be airing on YouTube a little bit later on this weekend. And again, this is being taped on New Year's Eve. Everyone have yourself a safe and a happy New Year's weekend, and we'll see you soon.